Today we're going to talk about my past, present, and future of books, what I finished, what I'm in the middle of, and what we're going to get into. Okay, so recently I finished the book called Vigil by George Saunders. Super weird premise. It's a novella. It was a very interesting book. The premise, I read it, it captured my interest right away. It's there's a lady falling from the sky and she's reconstituting as she falls, and she is there to provide comfort and help usher in this guy to the afterlife. This is something she's done several times over, and this is kind of like her thing that she does in her position in the afterlife and whatnot. And so she makes it to this guy's home who is a super rich dude who worked in like the oil industry and had a hand of really jacking up the planet and ruining parts of the earth and the world, polluting the oceans, climate change, you name it. And this guy refuses to admit that he has done any wrong. He says, my life has been amazing. I've done all these good things, this, that, and the other, and like refuses to repent of anything he's done. And she's here to try to help him and usher him into the afterlife. But he's convinced that this crap don't stink. So he's like in super denial. It's like the point where she's trying to help him where he doesn't end up, in a bad place when he dies, but he doesn't seem to be aware of that reality of where he may be going if he doesn't, in his last moments try to make this right. And then all kinds of weird stuff starts to happen. Like as this guy's dying, like all these visitors come from his past, people that he had worked with in his business. Birds start flying around the room. At some point, there's a calf, like a baby cow, gnawing on his couch. Then there's this other guy who's also like a ghost or a spirit, such as this woman is too. And he's this French guy, and he's like, he wants also to help because the French guy, the spirit, he invented the engine, and he saw how much destruction and stuff it had brought to the world and poisoned so many things. And so he's trying to like knock some sense into this guy too. So you have them both trying to convince this idiot that he needs to, man up and own up to the stuff he's actually done to destroy the planet. But he's very stubborn. And so it's like this weird, like, memories of what happened in this guy's life and just different stuff. And you also flash on like the spirits, the people who they had been before, what they were like. And so that's interesting too. And it's just a kind of weird, interesting novella. I thought it was a decent read. It's not one that I'm raving about and absolutely loved, but I thought it was weird and interesting. So make of that what you will. Currently, what we're in the middle of is book 4 of the Dungeon Crawler Carl series, The Gate of the Feral Gods by Matt Dinniman. We are on book 4. And I know I keep saying this, but this is the fastest I've been reading through a series in forever, and I love it. I think I'm like 60 pages in. So I say I'm in the middle of the book. It just means I've started reading it. So I'm about 60 pages in. This level of the dungeon, everything is in like a bubble, and there's 4 different biomes. There's like the desert, the sea, there's like a tomb level that's like, think about like Indiana Jones or maybe like the Mummy, and then there's the air. In each biome, there is a castle. In the bubble, too, think of it more like a snow globe or a dome, not like a straight up round bubble. The crawlers are all separated into a bunch of different bubbles. Carl, Katia, and Princess Donut are in one, and it seems like they're in this bubble with a lot of very low-level crawlers, and so they're all going to have to kind of come together to like, sorry, this is shiny, I'm going to set this down, to like work their way through the dungeon. So there's 4 different castles. The first area they're in is like this desert area, and the castle they need to get to is like way up in the sky, and it's kind of floating, and there's these gnomish warriors that they have to take on. So that'll be like the first one they have to do. And so I'm only right now like in the desert. They've just gotten there, and these books, I don't know what it is, pulls you in immediately. It's chaotic, it's funny, it's heartfelt. Like there's so many things, and like the whole like discourse of what's going on too with like the whole dungeon and how political these books are. Super political. Like if you don't catch on to that, they're very political. This one is already, we hit the ground running. We're getting into the town. We're at this bar or tavern called Toe, which is kind of funny. The AI of this dungeon really likes feet and has a foot fetish, and I thought it was funny that they're staying at an inn called Toe. I'm excited to read more of this. These books have been fantastic. If you like series that are funny and are kind of like that D&D feel, RPG, video game-esque, the Dungeon Crawler Carl series, I cannot sing its praises enough. It's so good. It's so weird and wacky, and like you end up loving the characters. It's awesome. I can't stop talking about it. If that says anything, maybe it says you should read these books. I don't know. Maybe that doesn't sound interesting to you, so it doesn't have to. We all like different books. So anyways, moving on, let me tell you what I'm going to get into. All right, so we're going to read a couple books that I randomly picked up at the library. The first one is She Made Herself a Monster by Anna Kovačeva. I'm not sure if I'm saying that last name right. I do apologize. This one, it's not super long. I think it's only a couple hundred pages, and let me tell you about it. In 19th century Bulgaria, a self-proclaimed vampire slayer, but in truth a traveling con artist, joins forces with a teenage girl to create a monster deadly enough to vanquish their own demons. We make monsters in order to destroy them. For thousands of years, we've named witches and burned them, suspected demons and exorcised them. When crops die and children fall ill, who better to blame than a monster? Yana rides from one desolate town to the next, staging grisly displays while the villagers sleep, animal corpses in the public square, eggs filled with blood in the chicken coop. She tells the stricken villagers stories of vampires that stalk the night. Then she eliminates the threat and sows seeds of hope in her wake. The village of Koprive is plagued by exceptional illness and misfortune, its children rarely surviving infancy. There, Yana meets Anka, a headstrong orphan the villagers blame for their curse. As Anka approaches womanhood, the village captain is grooming her for marriage against her will. Anka is powerless against him, that is, until Yana arrives. Together, the orphan and the vampire player hatch a plan to conjure a monster so vile it might provide cover for Anka to escape. But their plan quickly takes on a horrifying life of its own. So I thought that sounded pretty good. This says that this is inspired by Slavic folklore. She Made Herself a Monster concocts a clever mix of witchery, ghost stories, heresy, and deception to spin a feminist fable about agency and the power of collective action. It is a haunting and astounding cathartic tale of two women who will stop at nothing to take control of their fate. Okay, so next up we have David Bowie and the Search for Life, Death, and God by Peter Ormerod. So I got this one because I love David Bowie. So let's tell you about it. The story of how David Bowie's search for meaning inspired him to write the music that defined a generation. In his wide-ranging biography, Peter Ormerod explores the quest for spirituality that powered David Bowie's creativity from his earliest recordings to his death-defying final album. Bowie's genre-expanding, era-crossing genius had an extraordinary impact on popular culture, but his lifelong search for spiritual truth and enlightenment has been overlooked. From Bowie's first musical encounters as a choir boy, this book traces his spiritual obsessions over the years. As a young musician at the start of his career, he was enraptured by Tibetan Buddhism. It was the first step in a spiritual journey that would generate his most profound lyrics in music. From the Kabbalah-influenced tracks of Station to Station to Ziggy Stardust's Messiah Complex and the profound affinity between heroes and Christian thought. Ormerod illuminates the spiritual traditions behind Bowie's genius. Taking Bowie's spiritual explorations in faith seriously, Ormerod shows us how his quest for meaning propelled him through his darkest moments and his biggest successes, lending his music a timelessness and depth that has spoken to so many people across the world. And I thought that sounded like it'd be pretty good. So we'll get back to you on how this one is. So the book I am most excited for is The Gate of the Feral Gods by Matt Dinniman. I have been really loving the Dungeon Crawler Carl series, and it's what I've been most excited about this year. It's awesome. What have you been getting into recently? Let me know. And if you enjoyed hanging out today, hit that subscribe button, come back, see me again, and we'll talk about more bookish things and weird stuff.